Humble pranams to our beloved Swami. Guide us in this session of the study circle with the sisters leading the panel discussion on Shivaratri. Sairam, everyone. So, without further ado, I will give it to our sisters as you are all anticipating on the occasion of Maha Shivaratri. The sisters have prepared wonderful things to share with us. So they will take us through the importance of Shivaratri. We will also listen to some of the Swami's discourses. I'll give it over to Sister. Okay, I'd like to introduce the panel first of all. So we have Sister Usha Parpuri and Sister Sai Mamta, Sister Soumya. Over to you, Sister. Thank you.
Sairam. We'll begin with Swami's video.
భగవంతుని మనం ఆశ్రయించాలనుకున్నప్పుడు, భగవంతుని మనం చిక్కించుకోవాలనుకున్నప్పుడు, భగవంతుని మనం స్వాధీనపరచుకోవాలనుకున్నప్పుడు అతని నామమే అతని రూపానికి తగినటువంటి మార్గం.
Therefore, if you want to take shelter in God, get hold of God and get possession of God.
ఈ నామం నిరంతరం మంగళకరమైనటువంటి నామం.
Name is the most auspicious entity also.
ప్రపంచంలో ప్రతి మానవుడు కూడా మూడు రకమైనటువంటి రాత్రులను గడుపుతున్నాడు.
Every human being is spending three types of nights.
ఒకటి చంద్రుని రాత్రి,
One is the night associated with moon.
రెండవది చీకటి రాత్రి,
The other is associated with darkness.
మూడవది చీకటి వెన్నెల కలిసినటువంటి రాత్రి.
The third one is a combination of darkness and
ప్రతి
moon.
మానవుడు కూడా ఈ మూడు రకమైనటువంటి రాత్రులను అనుభవిస్తున్నాడు.
Every human being is experiencing these three types of nights.
కానీ వీటన్నింటికంటే కూడా ఒక పవిత్రమైనటువంటి యొక్క విలక్షణమైనటువంటి యొక్క రాత్రి మనకు ఉండాలి.
But there is one special night which is unique.
అదే శివరాత్రి.
That night is Shivaratri.
అనగా మంగళకరమైనటువంటి నామం చేత ఆ రాత్రిని గడిపినటువంటిదే శివరాత్రి.
That night it is spent with the sacred name that is called as Shivaratri.
అనగా రాత్రి అంతా కూడా మంగళకరమైనటువంటి నామం చేతనే తన యొక్క రాత్రిని పూర్తి గడుపుకోవాలి.
That means that one has to spend the entire night with the sacred name being chanted.
దైవత్వాన్ని చింతించేటువంటి యొక్క దినమే శివరాత్రి.
That day when you chant the name of God is Shivaratri.
కనుక ఒక్క సంవత్సరానికి ఒక పర్యాయం మాత్రమే కాదు శివరాత్రి.
Shivaratri doesn't come once in a
ప్రతి
year.
రాత్రి కూడా శివరాత్రిగానే ఉంటున్నారు.
Every night is
పోయి
best.
రాత్రి అంతా కూడా మీరు భగవంతుడి నామస్మరణ చేయకపోయినప్పటికీ లేచే సమయంలో ఒక పర్యాయమైన, పండుకునే సమయంలో ఒక పర్యాయమైన భగవత్ నామాన్ని స్మరించి పండుకోవటం, భగవత్ నామాన్ని స్మరించి లేచడం, ఇదే ఒక శివరాత్రిగా ఉంటుంది.
Even if you cannot chant the name of the Lord throughout the night, when you go to bed you can chant the name of the Lord. When you get up from the bed you can chant the name of the Lord. Thus you can convert that night to Shivaratri.
Sairam. That actually concludes our presentation for today. After what Swami explained, I don't know if all of us here can quickly recap it, but we will try to do it as much as possible. Swami actually explained what Shivaratri is in that, even though it is like 2-minute video. But let's contemplate on that. Let's go a little deeper about Shiva, Shivaratri, Maha Shivaratri, significance of Shiva, and anything else we can discuss. Brother Chandrasekhar and all of us have started the 18 days sadhana for Maha Shivaratri. Hope all of us are doing that. If not, let's start doing it if we haven't done that already. So with that, every day is auspicious, as Swami just said. Also, I want to start with this. Adityam cha Sivam Vidyat, Sivam Aditya Rupinam, Ubhayor Antaram Nasti, Adityasya Sivasya cha. This is from Bhavishyotara Purana. It is one of the Puranas. So, Aditya and Shiva, they are both the same. Aditya means God, sun, and then Shiva, we will know more about Shiva. They are both the same, and the reason I wanted to start with is we are in the auspicious month of Magha. Magha is one of the months, right now, according to the lunar calendar. And in this month of Magha is when Mahashivaratri comes. So, yesterday was Magha Purnami, right, full moon day, and it is also called Mahamaghi. And of late we also heard that it is Sri Lalitamba's Janma day, right? So a lot of us were told that we could chant Lalita and also, contemplate about Lord, the goddess as well. And our own Swami Ishwaramba, right? So just the word Ishwara Amba, right? Ishwara Amba. So that itself says that, with Ishwarama, our Swami is Ishvara, right? So Swami is our Guru, our Lord. I mean, all of us day and night we try to contemplate on him. So Shivaratri again, in this month of the 14th day, as in the Magha 14th Chaturdasi, is when Shivaratri. And Magha month Shivaratri is Maha Shivaratri. So, it's called as Maha Shivaratri. There is a reason why it is called Mahashivaratri. I'll tell a little bit of context. We have Ashtadasa Puranas, 18 Puranas. Out of those, there is Linga Purana, which talks about Shiva. But there is an Upa Purana, which is called Siva Mahapurana. In Siva Mahapurana, just like many other Puranas, they teach the beginning of the universe. We are always curious to know how the universe started, how we started, like what is it, what is the essence of it. So in that essence, there is this, we always love stories, so let's start with that story. So there is Brahma and Vishnu. They are both praying, and in the middle of it, there is Shiva, and that's Stambhakara. That is considered as the origin of Lord Shiva. So in that Shivakara, the Stambhakara Linga, they prayed, apparently they began praying Shiva in the month of Margasirsha, Ardhra Nakshatra. That's when they started praying. And the day when this Mahalinga, or the original form of Shiva, was established was on Mahashivaratri. That is one of the explanations of Mahashivaratri, how Mahashivaratri came out. So that is the first time when that Brahmanda Vyapta Linga, Brahmanda Akara Linga started in that Stambhakara, Agni Linga. It was the Agni form of Linga. And that's how the Mahashivaratri is said. And as Swami said, Shivaratri, right? Ratri is, all types, 3 types of Ratris that Swami just explained. So again, there are many deep meanings of Linga, Sakara, Nirakara, Tattva, and, Pranava Swarupa and all that. So with that background about the Shivaratri and how the Mahashivalinga started and when the actual Mahashivaratri was established, which is when the Mahalinga Udbhava happened. That is when is the Mahashivaratri. And every month has one Shivaratri, Masa Shivaratri, which is on the 14th Chaturdasi. Mahashivaratri is the one which comes in the Magha month, which is also Aditya Surya. Today is Sunday, and a lot of us pray Surya as well, right? Pratyaksha Deva. Just like Swami is a Pratyaksha Deva, Surya is also Pratyaksha Deva, right? So with that context, we would like to know what is the symbolism of Shivaratri, right? And numerological or astrological significance of Mahashivaratri. Why only 14? So I would request Sister Sai Mamata to explain that a little bit.
Hello. So we all know that out of the 12 Shivaratris that are observed in a year, the most auspicious one is the Maha Shivaratri day. So Shivaratri means the night of Lord Shiva, and the entire night of Shivaratri is basically dedicated to Lord Shiva, and who is regarded as the most powerful deity. Then this night is symbolic of merging of Shiva and Shakti, making the environment more alive. And it is beneficial to, one of the reasons why it is beneficial to stay awake on Maha Shivaratri is this night brings a sense of deep serenity and benevolence. Okay, coming to the astrological significance of Maha Shivaratri, this day is celebrated on the 14th day of the dark fortnight as Krishna Paksha Chaturdashi. So the Lord of Chaturdashi Tithi is Shiva. This day has high significance in astrology. According to astrology, moon is the control of the mind, and effect of moon is basically weaker on Maha Shivaratri day. Hence, worshipping Lord Shiva on this day strengthens the worshipper's moon in the birth chart, as Lord Shiva holds the moon on his head. This offers mental strength, willpower, bravery, endurance to the worshipper. So moon that represents the mind and the sun, which is your identity, when these two come together in your zodiac, in one zodiac in the same degree, they bring about a feeling of contentment in a person. This particular condition is observed on the day of Maha Shivaratri. So the natives feel as if they are on the right path. And the person in such a state also forgets about the worldly pleasures and parts ways with such thoughts. He focuses on the attainment of true happiness, which comes from the mind and soul and not from the body and material pleasures. So Maha Shivaratри's importance is that it spiritually awakens people and empowers them with high positive energy. This will lead to recover from past sins and attainment of moksha. And this is a night to awaken our consciousness and to purify our soul. So staying awake all night will increase our consciousness and will experience a natural upsurge or increase in the positive energies. And that is the astrological significance. But coming to the numerological significance, or the inner significance, is the control of senses. So the meaning of Shivaratri is this: the 10 senses of man are the ones responsible for drawing him on the wrong path. There are 4 syllables in the word Shivaratri. So there is a close relationship between numerology and these letters. So the meaning of, Shiv, Shri symbolizes the number 5, Va represents the number 4, Ra indicates the number 2, so adding 5, 4 plus 2, we get the number 11. So there are 5 karmendriyas, which is sensory organs of action, 5 gyanendriyas, sensory organs of perception, and the mind makes a total of 11. These 11 are the Rudras or the Ekadasha Rudras. So what do these Ekadasha Rudras do? They drown man in the world of sensory objects, enhance their mean desires, and get them lost in the worldly life. But beyond these 11, there is one entity, and that is the Paramatma, the Supreme Self. Only when we catch hold of the 12, we will be able to control our senses. Therefore, we must take great care of the 12th entity, that is the Paramatma. And that was the numerological significance of Shivaratri. Thank you.
So now that you heard about it, I'm going to ask questions. Just kidding. We'll ask questions later. We want to cover some topics and then I want to ask some questions to the audience. So, how do we describe Shiva? I think Sister explained, 5 Gyanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, and then mind, and then the ultimate adds to 11, and then ultimate is the 12th, which is the ultimate Paramatma, right? Paramatma. Both are, let's take the words one at a time. So, Atma. Does anybody know what Atma means? So yeah, I think we kind of know, right? I mean, again, the whole world, everything, it pervades through everything, you know. So again, Paramatma is that Parabrahman, or the form or formless that goes through everything, right, and connects through everything. So how do we even describe that Paramatma or Shiva? Right? How do we describe it? So there is a beautiful verse that talks about it, and I'll come to what Swami also says. So, Nalla Kondavanti Kartika. So, you take a very dark mountain, that much of Kartika, which is, you know, the kajal, right? I mean, the eyeliner type of thing. You take that much of that, and then you take a big whole ocean, Samudra. You mix this Kartika in that ocean, and then you mix it really well. And then take Kalpavruksha. Kalpavruksha is a tree which gives like infinite things. All our desires will be given by Kalpavruksha. Take a branch from that Kalpavruksha, take this ink which is formed with that mountain, and then take that and take the earth, and then Lord Sharada, like Goddess Sarada, right? Take Goddess Sharada, will take that Kalpavruksha branch and use that ink and write on all of earth continuously about what Shiva is. Keep on writing. Even then, even Goddess Saraswati or Vedamata also cannot describe who Shiva is. I mean, that's really beautiful. And the gunas of Shiva are beyond our mind. Like, you know, so all our life we know what we know, which is the known, and then there is which is unknown. All of our life's journey is traveling from what we know to the unknown, right? Atindriya. You know, that is our journey throughout our life. So in that again, Swami says, all that is God, all that is good and bad arises from the infinite time. There is time also, which is infinite, right? Again, Ratri, there is something called Ratri Suktam. If you have time, I mean, you can chant that. Beautifully describes God as like the dark energy and how it flows through the night, and very nice. I mean, you get chills if you go into the deeper meaning of Ratri, the word Ratri, night itself, right? And Swami says again, surrender, right? I mean, we have to surrender. Surrendering to God is another thing. And again, getting rid of lust, anger, greed, kama, krodha, and all that have to be done in order to even realize the God in any shape or form, right? And again, Swami constantly tells us, you know, how do we contemplate on God? If we contemplate on materialistic things and we keep getting carried away in those, we can never reach to that stage of, you know, contemplating on the God. So again, and our life's journey constantly is, you know, traveling from, you know, trying to up ourselves spiritually, right? That is the whole goal of us. But we are always caught in our materialistic things. How do we really go from there and understand what Shiva is, right? I mean, Shiva, again, there are like textual definitions, like Shiva means Shantakaram, right? And then, you know, Shantam, Sivam Shantam, Jagannathan, right? Again, Shiva is Mangalakaram, which is it's a very good thing, right? And gives our, you know, the blessings to everyone. So with all that context, I want to know, is Shiva, as we know, is there something called Shiva or someone called Shiva? Is, you know, is it existent or non-existent? Like, is it Saguna, Nirguna? What is it, I mean, that we are trying to do? I mean, as we say, Yatva Kurvita Karmani, like we have to know before we do something. We want to know what Shivaratri sadhana is. What exactly are we going to contemplate about, right? So, I would like to ask Sister Samya to talk a little bit about, you know, the known and unknown and Nirguna and Saguna.
Thank you, sister. I'll try my best. I'll try my best to answer it within my limited capability. Yeah. So it's all what I know from Swami's discourses only I have read. So Swami explains that both Nirgun and Nirakara. So let me just explain. Nirgun is attributeless and Nirakar is formless. So God is known to be Nirgun and Nirakar also, and he is, the other part of it is, he is also known as someone who has a lot of good attributes, Sagun, and Sakar, who has a certain form and a form which each one likes, right? So both are his manifestations. One is the formless manifestation, which Swami in his discourse, I think, in one of our daily sadhana discourses, I think we have read, he is all pervasive and he is there everywhere. But when Swami has given example of a balloon, how air is everywhere, but when the air gets trapped into a balloon, it takes the form of the balloon. Similarly, water is free flowing, and is there a form to water? We would say no, there is no form to water. But when it is contained in a tumbler, he takes the form of the tumbler. So similarly, it is the form that someone wishes for, right? So God actually is formless, but it's very hard to perceive for common man to see the formless God and even experience the formless God. So he is kind enough to sometimes take a form in which we can see him and experience him better. So there is also an example that Swami is given of electricity flowing through a wire. We don't get to see the electricity, right, as such when it's flowing through a wire, but when the electricity is used to light a bulb, we see it as a source of light. We see it as a source of cool breeze when it's the fan which is turning, right? So, and any other equipment for that example. So he takes that form and satisfies our need at that time. So it is basically the seeker who makes the God who is actually formless take a form at certain times, and that's what all from Swami's discourses. He has mentioned these examples. And also in I think yesterday's daily reading, Swami has talked about the atoms, right? He's talked a lot about atom in yesterday's what was shared the discourse. In that he says idol worship. He's talked about idol worship, in which he says there are people who consider idol worship as very low, which Swami says is not the case. The whole world, which is the manifestation of the God, every single part of the world is made of atoms, and this atom, the smallest form of material in this world, has a form. It has a form, and when something has a form, they call it vigraha, and it is fit to be worshipped as a creation of God. So if that is the case, when someone wants to give a form to God as an object, like an idol, a sculpture, and worship it, there's nothing wrong in it. There's nothing wrong in doing that. And Swami encourages this type of worship as a beginning for someone to connect with the divine when they are finding it hard to connect with the formless. So this is like a first step which anyone, normal people like us, can take to connect with the divine until the time where we realize that God is all pervasive. He is in me, He is in you, He is in the animals and all of creation. So that is a realization which comes in stages. We are not born with it. Maybe we are born with it, but we lose it somewhere in the middle. And until we come back to that realization where everything in the world is the divine, God is everywhere. Until that time, it's okay to have a form, give a form to the God, to whatever liking. We have a lot of options in our in Hinduism where we can choose the deity of our liking, Shakti and Vishnu, Shiva, any of the deities we can choose, and we can still use them as our, for us to connect with the divine. And there will be a stage, as we progress spiritually, where we will start realizing that we don't need the form anymore. We are seeing God everywhere around us. So until that time, I think it's fine. Give God a form and continue worshipping, enjoying, experiencing Him.
Sairam, when me and Sister Soumya were chatting about this topic, we were talking about the exact same thing that she said, which is, should we say that God is with form, or should we just lean more towards the formless aspect of and then she kind of said what she said right now, which is yes, there is also, we also stressed on the importance of form. Again, taking it to sakara nirakara, right? I mean, it's very difficult for us to contemplate on something that we don't know. So we only limit ourselves to that knowledge, right? Again, Jiva Parabrahma, right? Those are the two forms, Sakara, Nirakara, Nirakara, Nirguna, Nirvikalpa, all those are like Parabrahma is the formless aspect of it. And will we ever get there? I don't know, maybe. There was an interesting question. If everything is formless, then why do we need a form? Right? I mean, if the ultimate truth is Brahman, if ultimate truth is Parabrahman, if you want, please chime in, brother.
No, I just want to,
Yeah.
in line with what
Yeah.
Sister mentioned, yesterday's SSC story was so appropriate to where there is this devotee who is the Lord Shiva's devotee, but he retires in front of a temple. It's an old devotee. And then this priest comes and says that, why are you keeping your legs in front of the Bhagwan? To which this old man says that, okay, I'm so old, please take my legs off and put it in a direction where God is not. So the priest will try to lift it and he keeps it in another direction, there comes another lingam. So likewise, in every direction he takes the feet, there comes a Shiva lingam. So kind of explains as to God is omnipresent. At the same time, yes, how do we perceive it? That it's the perception through this Shiva lingam is how. I was resisting not to interrupt, but I want to share that story, which was very good. I hope all your children are doing the sadhana of their own on the SSC stories as well.
Sarah, how many are actually going through the material? Raise hand. If not, I mean, you can catch it. Okay, I will see few hands raising. So, please go through them. There are, I think, the video versions, there's audio as well as there are SSC stories. Really beautiful compilation. Of course, all of Swami's messages are beautiful, including the ones which emphasize the Shivaratri aspect of it. That's what we are trying to focus right now. So, again, Shiva Shakti, right? Jnanam versus Shakti. Again, Jiva Brahma Swarupa. I just said Jnatva Kurmeta Karmani, which means we should do things knowingly. Even if we don't know about it, we don't think about it all life, as you were saying, it will happen, the birth, death, the cycle will continue. Whether you actually know about it, care about it or not, it will still happen, right? The cycle will continue. But it's good if you know and do it and get the moksha. In Telugu there is a saying, it's a saying, it's a curse, but it's also a blessing. They say, oh, telskonchavu. It's like, you either die knowing or you die not knowing. Either ways, we will all go there, right? That's a different topic, that death itself is, is there really something called death when you see everything as Paramatma, Parabrahman? There's no death as well, right? At the same time, you might as well know about it, right? So, Jnatva, learn, and that is the practice, all of us here are, spiritual, all the sisters and brothers, so there's nothing, we need to tell, but that sadhana, that practice itself is very important. Now, I'm going to ask, let's contemplate a little bit on what is Shiva, right? Let's talk about the form aspect of Shiva, right? There are two aspects of Shiva, one with form, one with no form. The one with no form, Nirakara aspect, is Lingakara. And various types of lingas are there, as we know, right? Parthiva linga is supposed to be like the one made with the mud or sand is supposed to be the most purest form of linga. And then, of course, there is Atma linga, which Swami has said. And then, lots of different types of lingas are there. And similarly, Sakara, our favorites are lots of Sakara forms of Shiva, right? There are like infinite names. We can do Shiva Sahasranama, like 1,000 names to describe various qualities of Shiva. There's an interesting saying that if we are not able to, apparently, the way we want to, again, this goes back to form versus formless. We give a form, we as in our ancestors who are probably much more intelligent than us, they gave these forms to the infinite Parabrahman or infinite conscious, and we are trying to think based on those forms and get closure to immortality, right? I mean, that's the whole point. And in that Sakara, there are many names, Gangadhara, right? Let's think about Lord Shiva for a second. Can somebody help me on what comes to you when you think about Shiva? Describe Shiva. And I'm going to cheat because I'm going to look at that and Sai Shiva, when you can imagine that. Can someone say some forms that come to you? Nataraja, yeah. Ishvara. Neelakantha, very good. Trishula, Damaru, yes. Rudraksha, very good. Vibhuti, Tripundra, what else comes? Brothers are silent.
Tiger skin.
Yeah. Sister, you want to move this side so we can see the Jata. Yeah. What is the Rudra term for Jata? From Sri Rudram. Brother?
Tough question.
Nilagriva, Satikantha, others, a lot of Kapardhini, lot of names. Brothers, what do you remember when you think of Shiva?
Yeah, the three eyes.
Trinetra? Yeah. Three eyes. Yeah.
The Ganga. Right?
Gangadhara? Yeah.
Snakes.
Snakes?
Surround them.
Snakes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Trishula.
Trishula. Yeah. From audience?
Yeah, moon. You don't have to say
Moon. Sister also started with Chandrama Manasojata, right? Yeah, moon. What else? Brothers are not saying.
Brothers are big.
Big heart. If you give me mic, I'll make everybody talk. Okay, that's all. Huh? Rudraksha. Yes.
Meditation.
Meditation.
That's what brothers are doing.
Yeah, very good. That's why I'm asking questions. Yeah. So, we all see that form, right? I mean, if you watch like some episodes of Shiva Mahapurana or any other like TV based episodes or something, I have observed that they actually put live snakes on the person who's doing so, and it actually catches our eye, right, when we do that, and it's a little scary. I'm very scared of snakes, okay? So why is there a snake on? Swami explained this in one of the pravachnas very beautifully, but I want to hear, does anybody know why there is a snake represented on Shiva and of course many other forms of God? Why is there a snake on it? Anybody? We won't ask Chandrasekhar whether he knows. Yeah. Any guesses? Why is there a snake? Yes.
Because the snake can hear a tiny bit of sound.
Tiny bit of sound.
It can hear it. Snakes ears are powerful.
Vibrations. Sisters are silent now. I mean, we see like even like Vishnu form, right? Vishnu is Shayana on, the snake. Subramanya also has snake and also other things. What is the significance of snake?
I think Swami mentioned that I think Swami is just one line I read in his discourse where he was describing Shiva's form. He said the snake represents the whole of creation and all the creatures in the world apart from the human. Means not only human but every other creation of God, the moving creation and everything. I think the snake represents that, the different creatures. It's not necessarily only the snake, but it's just to show that he is the Lord of all creation. Yeah, I think that's what he...
In my understanding, the snake represents time. So he having the snake on his neck represents that he is the controller of the time. So that's what he is just advanced. So he represents the time. So yeah, master of time is a representation.
It's also snake sheds its skin. I'm just thinking, maybe there is some connection that we should shed our attachments.
That's beautiful. Yeah. Alright, now I'm going to give what Swami said in one of the discourses. So, Swami explained that Shiva is, the universal conscious consciousness, that we will realize from Sahasrara. And in order to realize that, we have to go through all the chakras in the body. So Swami related that to the Kundalini chakra, how it is. Of course, this is not the only answer. Swami gave other examples too, but this is one of the examples in which Swami describes, there are all the chakras, right? I wrote it down so that I don't mess it up. So, starting with the Muladhara chakra. Chakras means energy centers of the body. Throughout the body, there are various energy centers. There is Kundalini Vidya as part of Sri Vidya, in which these are described as well. So Swami said, in order for you to realize Shiva, or not you, for us to realize Shiva, which is in the Sahasrara final form, it has to go through all these chakras. And then our body has Ida and Pingala nadis, primarily. There are many other nadis. And and Ida is again, in another place it is given, Ida represents Brahma, Ida Nadi, Ida is the type of system that is Brahma, and then Pingala is Murari, right? And in between those two, you can see they are like curl up, it's, also if you think of your blood circulatory system, it's all like, it's incredible when you see that, right? So that is like a snake form. So in order for it to go, that energy to pass through and finally reach that final stage of energy, it has to go through that Kundalini chakra. So Muladhara chakra, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, Visuddha, Agya, and then finally Sahasrara chakra. So snake is a deep representation. And I don't know if it is right or wrong, but it's my feeling, not read anywhere. I feel that in our ancestors probably, in order for us or the people to fear that form of God, maybe if you put snakes, it makes us more alert. That maybe, this is my interpretation. And one more thing that I think is, again, we see like every god has different types of pets, and those are associated, right? Every form of god has that.
So one thing that comes to my mind is when we look at the entire Shiva along with Parvati, Subramanya and Ganesha, there is I think Swami spoke about the harmony that they bring in, because snake is not, the peacocks is the Vahana of Subramanya, and of course mouse is the Vahana of Ganesha. Mouse does not like snake. Similarly, snake does not like peacock. Yet, all these creatures exist they coexist in harmony. So that is actually another representation which Swami has explained as well.
Alright, thank you. So we contemplated about the snake as part of the Shiva's representation. We have prepared some other material, so I'm adding questions in between. Okay. So with that, we want to go and see, again, I'll say that there are different gods which have Shri in front of the name, Shri Srinivasa as we say, and then Sri Vishnu. Apparently we don't ever say Sri Siva. Swami said we don't say Sri Siva, but we say Sri Rudram at the same time, right? So that's what I was a bit confused. So Sri means Vibhuti, right? Which is blessing, Aishwarya. And then Shiva itself is Vibhuti, which is already embedded. So apparently there is no need to say Shri again in front of Shiva, which is because it's already embedded. So with that, we would like to ask Sister Mamata and to talk a little bit about scientific aspects of Sri Rudram and the spiritual connection that it has with us. I'm sure all of us as Sai devotees, we all can chant probably Rudram in sleep, most of us, right? We have been chanting and chanting, but let's go a little deeper and see what exactly the scientific representation of it is, and the spiritual connection to us.
Saram. So as we all know, Sri Rudram is one of the most powerful spiritual texts derived from the Krishna Yajurveda, one of the Vedas, most ancient scriptures in India, and also it's basically a spiritual text to praise Lord Shiva. And this has two main parts, as we all know, the Namakam and Chamakam. So coming to the scientific aspect of it, if both the Namakam and Chamakam are properly understood, one would know that they are not just merely sounds, syllables or meaningless intonations. So they have everything to do with the science and the human DNA, reproduction and prosperity and a prayer for the well-being of all. So this small clarification should unfold it, the link between DNA and mathematics in Sri Rudra. So in the Chamakam, in Anuvaka's sections 1 to 10, the devotee prays for almost everything needed for human happiness and specifies each item. But in the 11th Anuvaka, or the 11th section of Chamakam, the devotee prays for the desired things, not specifically, but in terms of numbers, first in terms of odd numbers, from 1 to 33, and later in multiples of 4, from 4 to 48. And would like to chant that 11th Anuvaka with the help of Sister Anush. Sorry. 11th Anuvaka.
You want to play? एकाच मे तिस्रश्च मे पञ्च च मे सप्त च मे नव च मे एकादश च मे त्रयोदश च मे पञ्चदश च मे सप्तदश च मे नवदश च मे एकविंशतिश्च मे त्रयोविंशतिश्च मे पञ्चविंशतिश्च मे सप्तविंशतिश्च मे नवविंशतिश्च मे एकत्रिंशच्च मे त्रिंशच्च मे चतुस्रश्च मे षोडश मे द्वादश च मे षोडश च मे विंशतिश्च मे चतुर्विंशतिश्च मे षट्विंशतिश्च मे त्रिविंशतिश्च मे चत्वारिविंशतिश्च मे चत्वारिविंशतिश्च मे चत्वारिविंशतिश्च मे पाचश्च पृषभश्च क्रतुश्च सुवश्च मूर्धा च यश्चिरश्चान्त्यायनश्चान्त्यश्च भौवनश्च भुवनश्चाधिपतिश्च.
Okay, so the last one, the 11th Anuvaka that we just chanted, I would just explain the meaning of it. So it says, let these be granted to me. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29, 31 and 33, which are the odd numbers, as also 4 multiples of 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44 and 48. So according to Dr. Shashi Dharan, these numbers represent a polymer chain of molecules that form water, and this enables the evolution of life and intelligence. And this is nothing but the nitrogenous base pairs of DNA. So when the devotee prays for the blessing of these numbers, actually he is praying for bestowing on him all this DNA basis which conduce to sustenance of human well-being and happiness. So that is the scientific aspects of Sri Rudra. We can move on to the next one.
One more thing about that, this is not written by anybody. It is done by Dhwani with the sound. Namakam Chakam has come with us. Okay, yeah.
Thank you, sister. We'll continue with, Namakam Chamakam itself is a huge, deep topic, right? I mean, Sri Rudram, I mean, I don't think we will go deep into that right now. But again, at an essence of it, I mean, Namakam describes, all the forms of Shiva or Rudra, and Chamakam is everything that we want. I think generally we will be more interested in the second part, which is I want this, I want that, I want food, I want, good health, I want, and there are some very interesting things apart from the regular list of desires that we have in Chamakam. If we really go deep and understand that, right, it also asks for health of our parents. Right? I mean, and the elderly people, take care of them. I mean, so even though we don't know the meaning of it, if we chant it, we are naturally asking for that. I mean, is there if we go deeper into philosophy, do we need to ask? I mean, that's a different question, right? I mean, the deeper we go, it feels different. There's a very interesting question saying, if God is everywhere, right? Swami says, Sarvantaryami. Then why exactly do we need to do that? If God is in you, God is in me, it's in every one of us. Then why do we need to chant and contemplate, right, on the God? Again, I think this Rudram makes us realize how it is in everything. Sabhabhyah, Sabhapatibhyascha vo namo namah. It's in this Sabha and Sabhaspati, right? It's in this mic. I mean, so many Guruji speakers have talked about it. The energy that comes through it, and the mic, and everything that happens. Think of in different shapes and forms. That's what Rudra talks about. And bringing it back to Shivaratri. Shivaratri is when we chant Rudra. Some people chant it 11 times. Some people, go and do Abhishekas. Right? I mean, why do we do Abhisheka? Like, what? Does anybody know what Abhisheka is? Pouring water on Swami. Why do we do that? Anybody wants to say why we do Abhisheka? On Shivaratri or any other Ratri?
Shiva likes Abhishek.
Shiva likes Abhishekam.
Manmohan likes Pradakshina. But Usha wants the inner meaning of Abhishek.
No, I want all meanings. Inner meaning possible, otherwise normal meaning. Why are we doing it? I mean, Gyatva Kurvita Karmani. If you want to take anything from the study circle or from the discussion, we should know why we are doing it, right? Or we should question at least, before we die physically, at least let's know a little bit. I mean, we will die anyway. It can happen today or tomorrow. There's, time is unlimited. Whatever unlimited time we have, let's learn, right? Gyatva, let's learn. Why do we do Abhishek? Anybody wants to chant in Satyam? Satyam?
Swami has mentioned, Abhisheka is like a deep contemplation on God. Like, why is this world created? Right? I mean, if we ask the question, I mean, it is created to know God, right? To love God. So we have to use creation to reach Him. So like in Abhisheka, there are a radio side, I think our media center is releasing every day teaser. I'm sure many of you are seeing, right? I mean, they are worshipping with different, like coconut, milk, right? Like kumkum, like haldi, right? I mean, they are worshipping with different, all sacred things, but each one means a very, it has a deep inner meaning. Right? I mean, you are worshipping with all your senses, all your the 10, like everything, right? All your mind, your intellect, right? There are like Sankhya Shastra, I think our sister kind of alluded, right? The numerological significance of Shivaratri, right? There is a Sankhya Shastra, right? That also, again, it's all in numbers, right? Each number 9 is very, very significant, right? So all this is like we are worshipping the God within ourselves. Right. So once, again, in the interest of time, like once all the different, we Swami did Atiruddha Maharudram, right? Again, that's 11 times, 11 times, 11 times, 11. Right? Like there are like 161 or priests, right? They chant. Again, that has its own meaning, right? Maybe your brothers would cover, right? So when all the Brahmins they came. Then Swami asked them to chant the Rudram, right? So when they chanted, then Swami stopped and he started chanting the first Anuvaka. Right? And he chanted non-stop, right? Without even taking a breath. Right? And he chanted the whole thing. Right? And then everyone were kind of shocked, right? I mean, that is how you should chant, right? This one. So and then Swami explained, right, whom are you worshipping? It's your own inner being, right? So we have to manifest the divinity within ourselves. again, yeah, all these sacred things, Vibhuti Abhisheka, probably sister will talk about it. I don't want to spoil suspense, but yeah, like everything has deep inner significance, like haldi, auspiciousness, like kumkum, the blessedness, right? The pativrata, right? And like that, each one has its own significance. Right? So, yeah, I think that's what it means, at least from what I could infer. Right? From songs. With that, I conclude. Sayam.
Sarah, thank you, brother. It also is giving up. Yeah.
I want to ask you one something just tell you. Vigraharadhana, right? You said that's a baby steps, right? The same thing, Abhishekam can be baby steps, but you don't really need to physically put in milk, water, saying that you want to do that, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely. It's also a form of detachment, right? I mean, you can realize God only when you are detached, and you are detaching just like yajna. Yajna is sacrifice. You are getting rid of those things. If you remove those attachments and bondings, you will actually see God. If you say, oh, I need milk, I need cows, I'm attached to this, right? I'm attached to food, I'm attached to annam. That's it. We live with attachment. Only when we detach it, we can actually see. Again, to what brother said, God is within ourselves. Yes, God is within all of us. But again, Shivoham, right? As Shiva is within us. Shivoham. We keep chanting. Shiva is within us in the form of jnana. The jnana is always there. But we have everybody, baby, born, unborn, has that jnana, Paramatma jnana. But we keep that and then we wrap it with many, many layers, many, many things. Jnana in the form of God is always there. Whether we like it, not like it, whether we are, religious, non-religious, it doesn't matter. I mean, again, Nirakari Allah, as we say, right? I mean, it doesn't need shape, form or anything. That jnana is always there. That is Shiva Tattva. And then when it manifests, that becomes all these akaras with Shakti, right? So again, that is how God is always there. And Shiva.
That's what sounds like electricity. You can't say until you experience.
Correct. And Shivoham, there is a joke that Swami was saying. He asked students, it seems, right? And he says, "Who are you?" So the student said, "Shivoham." And then when they said Shivoham, then said, "Okay, then where is Parvati? Who's Parvati? Is she your wife?" Right? And then he says, "Oh no, that's not." Then he says, Shiva and Parvati are the same. I mean, they are not different, right? So, with that context, I think quickly one of the Swami's landmark remarks from 1963. I would like Sister Soumya to quickly recap it from the Shiva Parvati aspect of it.
Saram, we have very less time, but I'll try to shorten Swami's message on that date. It was on the Guru Purnima day of 1963. That was the time when Swami was undergoing, his body was undergoing a lot of physical pain. I think for 8 days he was undergoing cerebral thrombosis or something, like a paralysis on the left side. His left part of the body, legs, hands and all that were a little bit paralyzed. And Swami also underwent a few, I think 3 or 4 cardiac arrests during that period. He went through all these difficulties. And people, all the devotees around him, they were all worried, and in fact they knew he is Swami, he knows what is happening. But they were just wondering why does he have to undergo all this. So at that time Swami said he was taking this over, protecting another devotee. But finally on the 8th day, which was the Guru Purnima day, Swami wanted to address all the devotees and the crowd, and he came to the dais and he asked for a glass of water, and with the right hand he took the water and sprinkled it on his left side, and finally he was relieved of the paralysis and it was back to normal. He was able to talk clearly. Until then it was not clear, his speech and everything. So then Swami finally explained, he wanted to answer why he had to undergo this. He says that avatars have to do certain things not just for one reason. There will be multiple reasons why they have to do certain things. And for this particular episode in Swami's life, he had to take it as to protect a devotee. But apart from that, the other reason was he had to fulfill the words which he had given, when in Treta Yuga, when Bharadwaja Rishi once, the story goes like this is what Swami said. In Treta Yuga, Bharadwaja Rishi was undergoing a lot of studies. He was studying the Vedas and he wanted to master them all. But he had taken 100 years, he couldn't master it. So he asked Lord Indra for extending his life by another 2 more 100 years. So maybe in 2 more 100 years he will try to finish mastering the Vedas. But then Indra tells him that this is not a task that you can accomplish even in 200 years. So it might take much more. So why not conduct a yajna? And I'll tell you how to conduct it. So you do it and you can get all the fruits which are equivalent to mastering all the Vedas. So he agrees and he wants to conduct the yajna, and he wants goddess Parvati, Shakti, to come and preside over this yajna. So he goes to Kailasha and he wants to invite Parvati. And then when he reaches there, Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati, they are in the middle of their cosmic dance. And Bharadwaja Rishi waits there. And it's been 8 days and he's waiting there for them to finish. They are not done yet. But still on the 8th day, Goddess Parvati does look at him and she gives a smile which Bharadwaja Rishi misunderstands, like she knows I'm here but she's just ignoring me, and he turns around to walk away from there, feeling a little bit disappointed. But when he's walking away, he gets paralyzed on his left side and he falls down. At that moment, Shiva and Parvati, they stop their cosmic dance, and then Lord Shiva comes to Bharadwaja Rishi and tells him, he takes the water, sprinkles on his left side and relieves him of the paralysis, and then he grants him the boon. He says, just like we will come to your yajna, we will come and we will preside over the yajna, and did he say Kali Yuga? I don't know whether he said Kali Yuga, but in the Kali Yuga, we will come take birth in your Gotram, Bharadwaja Rishi Gotram. We will take birth and we will take birth 3 times. Okay, the first birth will be just the Shiva Swarupa. The next birth, which is the Satya Sai, first one was the Shirdi Sai, which is just Shiva's form, and the second birth, which is Satya Sai Baba, will be a Shiva and Shakti form, and the third one will be the form of Shakti, which will be Prema Sai. And during the Shiva Shakti's form, avatar, which is Satya Sai Baba's avatar, I will make sure that we will also undergo the same kind of paralysis that you have experienced here today. So that was the story behind that episode which happened on Guru Purnima Day 1963, and Swami relates how he is Shiva Shakti Swarupa who has come down here as a boon given to Bharadwaja Rishi. Thank you, sir.
Sorry, we just have 1 more minute, I think we'll conclude with that. So again, Shiva's contemplation can have Sahasranamas, we can go deeper as long as we want, but we are always limited on time. I want to conclude today's discussion with Vibhuti Architam Devam Eka Bilvam Sivarpanam. So Vibhuti, like as Sai devotees, our favorite thing is Vibhuti. Whatever happens, we want Vibhuti. Somebody is sick, Vibhuti. Every day we put Vibhuti. There is very deep meaning of Vibhuti, again, dust to dust concept, Vibhuti Abhisheka. Vibhuti is compared with Atma as well. Yathacha Maranam Prapya, Atma Bhavati Gautama from Kathopanishad. So even if there is Marana, even after Marana, Atma is there. Similarly, Vibhuti represents that final state, and that's why it should be worn either in the middle at the Trinetra position or any other position as possible. And in 1959, Sister Samantakamani is who created that Vibhuti mantra that we chant. Paramam Pavitram Baba Vibhutim, Paramam Vichitram Leela Vibhutim, Paramatham Ishtatham Moksha Pradatam Baba Vibhutim Idamasrayami. They used to do a lot of namas, preparation itself, a lot of sisters in Bangalore. But this came out as a nama, and then it took a permanent place in all the things that we do. We conclude it with a Vibhuti mantra. So as we continue these 18 days of spiritual sadhana, I would like to quickly re-emphasize, please look at those daily messages. Please continue to do the sadhana. And we will meet next week with the next discussion panel on the Shivaratri. Thank you, brother.
Thank you so much. We will conclude with 3 Oms. Oh, sorry, Om Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.